unknown mystery, the island no one returns from. What if I told you that off the coast of the United States lies a place so terrifying that people who go there never come back? A place hidden from tourist maps, a place surrounded by rumors, disappearances, and strange signals that continue to puzzle investigators to this day. For decades, fishermen refused to sail near it. Pilots reported bizarre instrument failures above it, and the few people who attempted to uncover its secrets vanished without a trace. Some believe the island is cursed. Others think it hides a secret too dangerous for the public to know. But the truth may be even more horrifying. Tonight, we journey into one of America's most chilling and mysterious legends, a story of fear, obsession, and a haunted island where escape seems impossible. This is the story of Black Hollow Island. In the cold waters of the North Atlantic, several hundred miles from the northeastern coast of the United States, there exists a small rocky island known to only a handful of sailors and local fishermen. Officially, it appears on old navigation charts as Black Hollow Island. The island itself is not large. Dense forests cover most of its surface. Sharp cliffs surround much of the coastline. During storms, enormous waves crash against the black rocks, creating an eerie sound that resembles distant screams. For generations, fishermen from nearby coastal towns shared frightening stories about the island. According to local legends, strange lights appeared there at night. Unexplained voices echoed across the water, and sometimes, on foggy evenings, people claimed to see shadowy figures standing along the cliffs, watching silently as boats passed. Most people dismissed these stories as superstition. After all, every coastal town has its ghost stories. But in 1954, something happened that transformed local folklore into a terrifying mystery. 3 experienced fishermen left port before sunrise. The weather was calm, the sea was peaceful. Their destination was a fishing ground several miles beyond Black Hollow Island. The men never returned. When they failed to arrive home, a search operation began. The Coast Guard searched the surrounding waters. Nearby vessels joined the effort. Aircraft scanned the ocean from above. Days later, the fishing boat was discovered drifting aimlessly near the island. The engine was still functional. Food remained untouched. Personal belongings were scattered across the deck, but the 3 fishermen were gone. There was no sign of struggle, no blood, no bodies, no explanation. The case quickly became one of the strangest disappearances in the region's history. Authorities assumed the men had somehow fallen overboard, yet experienced investigators found the theory difficult to accept. The weather had been ideal, the fishermen were skilled, and it seemed highly unlikely that all 3 would accidentally disappear at the same time. The mystery remained unsolved. Years passed, life moved on. Then another incident occurred. In 1962, a private pilot flying along the coast reported severe compass malfunctions while passing over Black Hollow Island. The pilot later told investigators that all navigation equipment suddenly began spinning wildly. His radio emitted loud bursts of static. For several minutes, communication with air traffic control was lost. When contact was restored, the pilot sounded frightened. He repeatedly stated that he had seen something unusual below, something moving among the trees, something far too large to be a human being. Officials attributed the event to equipment failure, but the pilot refused to change his story. Until the day he died, he insisted that something unnatural existed on that island. By the late 1960s, Black Hollow Island had become famous among adventurers and paranormal enthusiasts. Many viewed the island as a challenge, a mystery waiting to be solved. One of these adventurers was Thomas Carter, a former military photographer fascinated by unexplained phenomena.
Thomas spent months researching local legends. He interviewed fishermen, he studied historical records, and eventually he organized an expedition. In the summer of 1969, Thomas and 4 companions traveled to the island. Their plan was simple: stay for 3 days, document everything, then return with evidence. Before leaving, Thomas informed his family that he would maintain radio contact every evening. The first transmission arrived on schedule. Everything seemed normal. The team had established camp. The weather was clear. No unusual activity had been observed. The second transmission was different. Thomas sounded nervous. He reported hearing strange noises after sunset. According to him, the sounds resembled whispers moving through the forest. The voices appeared to come from every direction at once. His companions had heard them as well. Despite their concern, the group decided to continue their investigation. The third transmission never arrived. Repeated attempts to contact the expedition failed. Days later, rescue teams landed on the island. What they discovered was deeply unsettling. The campsite remained intact. Sleeping bags were still present. Equipment was scattered around the area. Several cameras were found. Food supplies remained untouched. Yet not a single member of the expedition could be located. It was as if 5 people had simply vanished into thin air. Investigators recovered several rolls of undeveloped film from Thomas's cameras. When the photographs were processed, they revealed images of forests, cliffs, and camp activities. Most appeared completely ordinary, but the final photograph shocked everyone. The image showed a dark figure standing among the trees, approximately 50 yards from camp. The figure was unusually tall. Its proportions seemed unnatural, and although the image was blurry, many believed it was staring directly at the camera. The photograph quickly became the center of intense debate. Skeptics argued it was merely a shadow. Others believed it represented evidence of something far stranger. No definitive explanation was ever found. As the years passed, stories surrounding Black Hollow Island continued to grow. More disappearances were reported. A pair of amateur explorers vanished in 1978. A documentary crew disappeared in 1987. A solo adventurer was reported missing in 1994. In nearly every case, the pattern remained remarkably similar. Personal belongings were discovered, equipment remained behind, but the people themselves were never found. One particularly disturbing incident occurred in 2003. A group of researchers studying unusual electromagnetic activity decided to investigate the island using modern technology. Unlike previous expeditions, this team carried satellite communication equipment, GPS devices, and advanced recording systems. Initially, everything functioned normally.
Then strange problems began to emerge. GPS signals became unreliable. Battery-powered devices drained unexpectedly. Digital recordings captured unexplained sounds. Team members reported feelings of intense anxiety. Several researchers later described a sensation that they were being watched. Not by an animal, not by another person, but by something hidden beyond their understanding. On the third night, one researcher awoke after hearing footsteps outside his tent. Assuming another team member was walking nearby, he looked outside. What he saw haunted him for the rest of his life. Standing at the edge of the forest was a motionless silhouette. The figure appeared impossibly tall. Its body seemed unnaturally thin. Its eyes reflected light despite complete darkness. The researcher froze. For several seconds, neither moved. Then the figure slowly stepped backward into the trees and disappeared. The following morning, investigators searched the area. No footprints were found. No evidence existed to confirm what had been seen. Yet the witness remained adamant. Something had been there. Something watching them. The team abandoned the expedition later that day.
When they reviewed their recordings back home, they discovered something disturbing. Several audio files contained faint voices. The voices appeared to whisper names belonging to members of the research team. Audio experts analyzed the recordings for months. No one could explain how the sounds were produced. The mystery deepened even further in 2015. A group of oceanographers conducting unrelated research near the island detected unusual underwater structures. Sonar scans suggested the presence of large formations beneath the surrounding waters. Some resembled natural caves. Others appeared strangely geometric. The discovery sparked speculation that hidden tunnels might exist beneath the island. Could explorers have accidentally entered an underground network and become trapped? Could secret chambers explain decades of disappearances? Multiple investigations attempted to answer these questions. None succeeded. The underwater structures remain largely unexplored due to dangerous conditions and unpredictable currents. Today, Black Hollow Island remains one of America's most frightening unsolved mysteries. No definitive evidence proves the island is haunted. No official explanation accounts for the disappearances, and no one knows exactly what happened to those who vanished there. Some researchers believe unusual magnetic anomalies may be responsible. Others suggest toxic gases, hidden sinkholes, or psychological effects caused by isolation. Paranormal investigators offer darker theories. They believe the island is home to an unknown presence, something ancient, something intelligent, something that does not want visitors. Perhaps the most disturbing aspect of the mystery is that reports continue to emerge even now. Fishermen still describe strange lights above the cliffs. Boaters occasionally report hearing voices carried across the water. And every so often, someone claims to have seen a tall figure standing among the trees, silently watching the sea. Whether these accounts are genuine or simply products of fear remains unknown. But one fact continues to trouble investigators. Despite decades of searches, countless expeditions, and modern technology, the fate of those who disappeared on Black Hollow Island has never been discovered. No bodies, no answers, no closure. Only questions. Questions that drift through the fog like ghosts. Questions that have survived for generations. And questions that may never be answered. So one day, if you find yourself sailing through the cold waters of the North Atlantic and notice a dark island rising from the mist, an island where the trees seem too still, where the cliffs appear almost black, and where silence hangs unnaturally heavy in the air, you may want to keep your distance, because according to legend, anyone who sets foot on Black Hollow Island becomes part of its mystery. And once the island claims you, no one ever comes back. The mystery of Black Hollow Island did not end with the disappearances of explorers and researchers. In fact, many believe the most terrifying chapter began afterward. Because while people continued to disappear, a new pattern started to emerge. A pattern that suggested the island might not simply be a dangerous place. It might be calling people to it. In 2018, a retired Coast Guard officer named Daniel Mercer decided to share information he had kept secret for years. Mercer had spent nearly 3 decades patrolling the waters off the northeastern United States. During an interview with a local journalist, he described several incidents that had never appeared in official reports. According to Mercer, strange distress signals were sometimes detected near Black Hollow Island. At first, the signals sounded normal. Someone calling for help, someone reporting engine trouble, occasionally a frightened voice requesting immediate rescue. But when patrol boats arrived at the reported location, nobody was there. No vessel, no survivors, nothing. The signal simply vanished. Even more disturbing, some recordings appeared to contain voices belonging to people who had disappeared years earlier. Mercer admitted that he could not prove the claims. However, he insisted that multiple officers heard the recordings. Several were reportedly so disturbed that they refused to discuss the incidents afterward. The journalist attempted to locate the recordings. None could be found. Officially, they never existed. Naturally, the story attracted enormous public attention. Online forums exploded with theories. Some people believed the island was connected to secret military experiments. Others suggested a previously unknown natural phenomenon. And of course, many believed something supernatural was responsible. Among those fascinated by the mystery was a documentary filmmaker named Rebecca Hayes. Unlike previous investigators, Rebecca approached the story cautiously. She had spent years exposing hoaxes and debunking paranormal claims. She believed there was a rational explanation behind every mystery. When she announced plans to investigate Black Hollow Island, many people praised her skepticism. If anyone could uncover the truth, it seemed to be Rebecca. Her team arrived near the island during the summer of 2020. Rather than landing immediately, they spent several days studying the area from offshore. Drones were launched. Thermal cameras monitored the coastline. Advanced microphones recorded environmental sounds. Initially, nothing unusual appeared. Then, one evening, shortly after sunset, a drone footage captured something shocking the crew. The video showed a human-shaped figure standing on a cliff overlooking the ocean. At first glance, it appeared to be an ordinary person, but several details seemed wrong. The figure remained perfectly motionless for nearly 40 minutes. It did not shift position. It did not react to strong winds. And according to image analysis, its height appeared significantly greater than that of a normal human. The footage became the most controversial evidence ever associated with Black Hollow Island. Some experts argued the figure was merely a tree trunk viewed from an unusual angle. Others disagreed. Frame-by-frame examination revealed subtle movement that seemed deliberate, movement suggesting the figure was alive. Rebecca wanted answers. Against the advice of several crew members, she decided to land on the island. The team established a temporary camp near a sheltered beach. For the first 24 hours, everything proceeded normally. Then the strange events began. One camera stopped functioning despite having a fully charged battery. A satellite phone repeatedly disconnected. Several team members reported hearing footsteps outside their tents during the night. Yet every search revealed nothing. On the second evening, a sound recording device captured something remarkable. At exactly 2:17 a.m., a faint voice could be heard in the darkness. The words were difficult to understand. Audio specialists later enhanced the recording.
What they heard chilled them. The voice appeared to say, "Leave before it wakes." Nobody on the expedition recognized the voice. No explanation could account for its presence. The warning became the most discussed aspect of Rebecca's investigation. Unfortunately, it would not be the last. The following night, one crew member disappeared. His tent was empty. His equipment remained inside. There were no signs of a struggle, no footprints, no clues. Search efforts continued until sunrise. Nothing was found. Fear spread rapidly through the camp. Several crew members demanded immediate evacuation. Rebecca reluctantly agreed. The expedition ended that same day. The missing crew member was
was never seen again. Authorities conducted an extensive investigation. As in previous cases, no answers emerged. The disappearance joined the growing list of unsolved mysteries connected to Black Hollow Island. By this point, many experts had become convinced that the island possessed unusual environmental properties. Some geologists pointed to magnetic anomalies detected in the area. Others suggested underground cave systems might be responsible for strange sounds and navigational problems. Psychologists proposed another possibility. They argued that isolation, fear, and expectation could influence perception. If visitors expected frightening experiences, they might interpret ordinary events as supernatural. It was a reasonable theory, yet not everyone agreed, because some evidence remained difficult to explain. For example, weather satellites occasionally recorded brief temperature drops directly above the island. These drops appeared suddenly and vanished just as quickly. Meteorologists struggled to identify a cause. Similarly, marine researchers discovered unusual water temperature fluctuations. Again, no satisfactory explanation emerged. Then came the discovery that changed everything. In 2023, a severe storm struck the region. Massive waves battered the island for days. When the weather finally cleared, aerial surveys revealed a large landslide along the northern cliffs. The collapse exposed what appeared to be the entrance of a hidden cave. For the first time in decades, investigators had an opportunity to explore an area previously inaccessible. A specialized team was assembled. Unlike earlier expeditions, this group included cave experts, geologists, and structural engineers. They entered the cave several weeks later. At first, the passage seemed natural. Narrow tunnels extended deep into the rock. Ancient mineral formations covered the walls. But as the team progressed farther underground, they discovered something extraordinary. The cave opened into a vast chamber unlike anything they expected. The walls displayed strange markings, symbols carved directly into the stone. Some resembled ancient writing. Others looked entirely unfamiliar. Archaeologists later examined photographs of the symbols. No known culture could be linked to them. The markings appeared unique, as though they belonged to a civilization that had never been documented. Near the center of the chamber stood a massive stone structure. Nobody could determine its purpose. Its design was unlike anything found elsewhere in North America. The discovery immediately sparked international interest. Researchers hoped the structure might finally reveal the island's secrets. But events took a darker turn. Several members of the exploration team began reporting vivid nightmares. Many described the same dream. A tall shadow standing beside the stone structure, watching silently, waiting. The similarities were impossible to ignore. Some researchers became so disturbed that they withdrew from the project entirely. Others refused to enter the cave again. Within months, funding was suspended. Official explanations cited safety concerns. Unofficially, rumors suggested something else, something the public was never told. Today, the cave remains largely unexplored. Access is heavily restricted. Very little information has been released, and the mysteries surrounding Black Hollow Island continue to grow. Was the stone structure created by an unknown civilization? Were the disappearances connected to the cave? What caused the strange voices, lights, and sightings reported for generations? No one knows. Perhaps one day science will provide answers. Perhaps the island's secrets will finally be revealed. Or perhaps some mysteries are meant to remain hidden. Because if the stories are true, if something really exists beneath Black Hollow Island, then the greatest danger may not be what disappeared there. The greatest danger may be what is still waiting there, watching, listening, and waiting for the next visitor.